Hello everyone, buongiorno, arrivederci and welcome to the Eternal City. We are in the capital of Italy, we are in Rome for round 5 of the Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY. Vernon Kay and Amanda Stretton with you throughout the day. It is qualifying time, Amanda.
It's qualifying indeed. Tremendously excited to be starting off the European leg of the I-Pace eTROPHY tour of the world, if you like, here in Rome. I think everyone... Those long hauls were quite long.
They were indeed. Did you get a good rate on your Chinese yen for your euro, though? That's the big question.
I didn't have any Chinese yen left to convert, I'm afraid. So.
Oh well. But let's talk about the racing. Qualifying is just around the corner. And yesterday in the press conference, Bueno, who won in Sanya in China, was saying that it's really, really important for the drivers to have a good qualifying session.
That's right. Qualifying session, particularly on these road circuits, is absolutely imperative because it's really hard to overtake. Also, we've said it before, these cars, they're very evenly matched. Gosh, it's now suddenly got windy. They're very evenly matched. They're all absolutely identical cars. So, yeah, getting the run, particularly the way the cars are set up, they do suffer from a bit of understeer as they're sort of exiting the corners as well. So it's quite hard to get runs on other cars on the exit of corners. So qualifying is therefore absolutely critical. You've got to get, it's all about track position. You've got to get good track position.
It really is. And we've seen that qualifying is important, as we've said, because it does have a huge impact on the result of the race. Remember, we've got pros and pro-ams all competing to be champion because there is prize money on offer and the possibility to become a test driver in Formula E as well. It's all exciting stuff, Amanda, and it's all to play for because only 5 points separate the top 5 positions.
Exactly. No, those pro-ams have definitely been fighting their corner. And in fact, if you look at the races to date, it's been absolutely tremendous between pro-ams and also the pros.
All right, well, we'll have a look at the story of the season so far because it has been ultra competitive. Let's just take a recap. And we begin right here, Saudi Arabia, and the historic Middle Eastern city of Riyadh.
The first ever Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY Series races go! Good start from Evans. There goes Jimenez up the inside of Sellers, great move! There to win Pro-Am is Bandar Al-Asai. It's the checker flag and the win for Simon Evans.
I knew Brian had a bit of pace than me and probably so did Sergio, but I managed to hold him up in the end.
We have travelled to the city streets of Mexico.
All 5 lights are on, and away we go. There's the move, forceful, oh no! And Simon Evans, the championship leader, is involved in that as well. Bandar Al-Asai is going to make it 2 out of 2 in the Pro-Am class. Look how close Sellers is now, though. You only need 2 cars to make a motor race, and these are absolutely bumper to bumper. Leg is out and round the final corner. The checker flag is waiting, and victory in the top of the championship for Catherine Legg.
Ryan's a really good driver, so I couldn't make any mistakes. I knew he'd be smart, and he lined me up a couple of times, and I managed to defend it. I'm really glad to get that first one out the way and on to the next.
The 3rd round of the inaugural season. The race is underway. Late on the brakes for Catherine Legg around the outside, neatly done, and she's managed to get herself up into 3rd place. Really good start there. Sergio Jimenez has taken 3 positions. Has Bueno gone straight on at turn 1? How frustrating will that be? The 2 Brazilians hip and shoulder each other. Yachi Chang now is the leader of the Pro-Am class. So Simon Evans off and in the wall. Jimenez got the podium at the final corner. The winner of round 3 of the championship is Brian Sellers for Rahal Letterman Racing.
We just need to keep building and continuing this way. Obviously, another great race. Sometimes it's your day, I guess.
All 5 lights are on, and we're racing in Sanya. Here comes Legg up the inside of Bandar Al-Asai, and there's a big look from Tao Wang. He's going up the inside of Bin Cannon. So we're on board with Jimenez. He's going for it. And there is Bandar Al-Asai, who took the win in Pro-Am, but it's Bueno who has dominated this race from the start, and finally a win for Bueno in the Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY Series.
I'm so happy and relieved because I make a stupid mistake in Hong Kong. Now looking forward for the championship and try to close the gap.
Oh, Amanda, it really is so competitive, this race series. And let's not forget, this is the first time that Formula E has had a support series. And these cars are something special because they are straight off the forecourt.
Yeah, exactly. This is a production-based championship, so all of these cars are, they're modified, obviously roll cages amongst other things.
Safety
different brakes. Yeah. So they are modified, but they are essentially the same car that you can buy out on the track as well. But they're rolling out now for qualifying, so...
This is really exciting because I think everyone that we spoke to so far this morning is really excited about this, the fact that this track is one of the longest, if not the longest, that we have in the series, but also it's so open.
That's
right. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we will get some good overtaking. But let's take a closer look at the car because it is something special, isn't it?
Yeah, the car's absolutely fantastic. Lots of very special features.
All right, well, let's take a close look, an in-depth look at the Jaguar I-Pace.
The I-Pace is Jaguar's first leap into a greener, all-electric and cleaner mode of transport. With cities around the world tackling climate change and air pollution levels with zero emission zones, vehicles like the award-winning Jaguar I-Pace are now more important than ever. And this revolution has sparked evolution. The Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY race car. Each driver is given the exact same car, identical from the battery to the lightweight all-aluminium chassis, reinforced with an FIA safety roll cage. The 90 kilowatt-hour battery, lifted directly from the production model, is made up of 432 lithium-ion pouch cells. The Jaguar I-Pace's powertrain provides the blueprint for its racing sibling. It delivers 696 Newton-meters of torque acceleration from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 4.5 seconds, and reaching a top speed of 195 kilometers per hour. The electronic system has been migrated from the Jaguar I-Type Formula E car, providing a lightweight full race loop for instant driver feedback. To keep these cars charged throughout the weekend, ABB have supplied compact TerraFast chargers, capable of delivering 270 kilometers of range to a standard electric vehicle per hour. The Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY Championship will continue to push the boundaries of electric vehicle technology and ensure that this positive impact is felt on roads across the world.
So the heart and soul of the car, of the I-Pace, is a production car. And I've had the joy of spending some time in the I-Pace, and it really does change your driving mentality. Because it's all electric, you're constantly thinking, it's like a game. How much energy can I save whilst I'm driving? And that's what's also important in the race series. But let's talk about the runners and riders, the gladiators as such, in today's qualifying. Who's up there, Amanda?
That's right, they're not going to be thinking about energy saving as they go out in qualifying. Right, so Brian Sellers has been the fastest in free practice. He did a 1:54.9, I think it was. But because it's quite cold this morning, that was in free practice yesterday. Because it's quite cold this morning, we've still got quite a lot of dampness on the track as well. So I think there may be some spots where the track is still a little bit damp. So I don't think we're going to see an improvement on that time necessarily. But it's important to remember the top 5 drivers are separated by just 0.5 of a second, so it is so close up there. And Bandar Al-Asai in the Pro-Am class is still just storming ahead. He is the man to catch.
He's having a great season so far, and he's really put himself in the mix with the pros.
Absolutely, yeah. Just talking of one other pro as well, Catherine Legg had a puncture in free practice, so she definitely has a point to prove. We know that she hates it when things don't go right.
All right, well, let's get ready for qualifying of the Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY. The race a little bit later on, but for now, let's go over to Jack Saunders, Jack Nicholls and Hoping Tong.
Yeah, thanks, Vernon. Good effort. You'll figure it out before the second half of the season's done. There's Catherine Legg getting ready to head out onto the circuit. I'm joined in the commentary box by Hopin Tung. Hopin, this is a really good circuit. It's going to be really entertaining to watch the Jaguars on this track, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a real driver's circuit, 2.87 kilometers, very wide, fast corners, long straights, big elevation change as well, especially up here, 6-7 to run to turn 9, very bumpy on the braking there. You got a chicane to turn 13, hairpin, good overtaking opportunity.
Then you end up coming into the little back part of the circuit, down the side streets, and that is a lap of this Rome circuit. So the pit lane is open, this 30-minute qualifying session begins, and there is Luca Salvadori, the world superbike racer, who is the VIP guest driver for this race.
Every race a different driver in the Jaguar VIP car. usually a local hero or celebrity. And yeah, we've seen good performances from the drivers over the past few rounds, and look forward to see what he's able to do on 4 wheels.
They've all been very impressive, actually, thinking about it, the VIP drivers. They've all been there up in the mix. There's Simon Evans, the man leading the championship by 1 point, ahead of Catherine Legg in 2nd place. And then Legg is 2 points ahead of Brian Sellers, who's 1 point ahead of Sergio Jimenez, who's 1 point ahead of Caca Bueno. So Bueno, with that win last time out, has really brought himself back into championship contention, having not finished on the podium at all this season until that victory in Sanya. So the only driver in the pro class who's not in the championship fight is Stefan Radzinski, but that's mainly because he's retired in 3 of the 4 races.
Simon Evans there, slightly weaving, trying to get a bit of heat into his tires. Track will have changed quite significantly compared to pre-practice of yesterday. Of course, all the Formula E cars running, putting a lot of rubber down on the circuit. All these non-permanent street circuits, the track evolution is quite significant, quite big. So the track pace will improve quite a bit over the weekend. So every time you go out on track as a driver, you have to adapt to the changing grip level, basically.
There is Simon Evans. Beautiful sunny morning now here in Rome. There's nothing better than Italy in the spring. Ideally a little bit further north than this, up in Tuscany. Spring in Tuscany, that's the place to be, but you know, Rome will do. Here comes Evans down through the obelisk chicane and heading down to the hairpin at turn 13 in between all the stone pine trees.
This is purely a warm-up lap still for Simon, and we'll probably see him doing 2 or 3 push laps, I suspect, and then we'll see him box, try to make a minor adjustment. This iPace eTROPHY Championship, different qualifying format compared to Formula E. No such thing as a limited number of laps you can do here. You can run as many laps as you want. The only but here is that the drivers have only 1 set of tires for the entire race weekend, starting from shakedown. So you don't want to put too many laps on your tires, just to have them still in good shape when actually the race is there.
Caca Bueno has returned, has gone straight to the pits. The other Brazilian, Sergio Jimenez, has gone out there to start laps. So usually both Brazilians return to the pits and wait there for a bit, but both Jimenez has gone out onto the circuit. The first lap times coming in the 2:07s. They're going to be way quicker than that by a good 10 or 12 seconds or so. But yeah, very much warm-up laps at the moment as Jimenez drops down the hill. The blue background numbers on the left-hand side, they are the pro class. The white background numbers are the Pro-Am for the less experienced drivers. And then obviously the black background is Luca Salvadori, who is the VIP guest driver for this race, as Jimenez climbs the hill.
The cars, however, all identical, based on the Jaguar I-Pace production car. Same battery, electric motors, inverter. Drivers can actually make minor adjustments to the setup of the car, such as ride height, cambers, roll bars, and of course tire pressures. Tire pressures have proved to be quite a big influence in this championship. Of course, people still finding their ground grips on these cars. It's the very first fully electric racing series based on production car in the world. So yeah, every race we basically see drivers finding more pace in themselves and in the cars as well.
Jimenez through the hairpin, now about to turn into the back streets. This is going to be our first really representative lap of the session. Right up to the wall on the exit there. There's been some photos doing the rounds on social media of, I think it's Lucas Di Grassi's been posting them, of the karting days. And there's Di Grassi and there's Lewis Hamilton, and then lurking at the back all the time is Sergio Jimenez. He goes second quickest, a couple of tenths away from Simon Evans. Evans quickest on a 1:54.211. Radzinski slots into 3rd place, the Canadian. Yachi Zhang into 5th. This is Catherine Legg, who is 4th quickest, and she's got a bit of catching up to do. A puncture yesterday at the very start of free practice meant she lost, well, she didn't do any running basically.
Yeah, it's a big disadvantage for her. Being only eligible for 1 full set of tires per weekend. If you have a puncture, that means you'll have to take a tire which was used in the previous event, which obviously has done a lot more mileage. So yeah, it will be, it's not ideal for her, especially also the missed track time. Similar to Formula E, this iPace eTROPHY Championship, only 1 free practice actually for them. So yeah, need to be able to get as many laps in as possible to basically learn the track. There's no other way to practice since you always race on these non-permanent street circuits.
Leg through the obelisk chicane. First sector is a couple of tenths away. Simon Evans is on a good lap, improving massively. Same is true of Sergio Jimenez. And Ahmed Bin Cannon's done a very good first sector in the Pro-Am class. Whoa, Leg swinging the rear of the car out of the hairpin.
These cars are 4-wheel drive. Drive on every wheel with a motor. You can change the power distribution as a driver, so you can basically choose to have a little bit more power on the rear axle. And that's what most of the drivers actually choose to have as well. Very aggressive there in the chicane, taking all the concrete curb.
No worries about the puncture yesterday then. Jimenez improves to a 53.9. Leg across the line and doesn't improve on that lap. So still learning the track a little bit, Catherine Leg. Brian Sellers has done a good first sector. And here he is now through the middle sector. He's not done the fastest middle sector of anyone, but it's there or thereabouts with Sergio Jimenez. So he's a good quarter of a second up here, Sellers.
Very close session yesterday where we saw the first 4 drivers in just 1.5 tenths of a second. And it's been quite a bit the same for the entire season so far.
But this is a very long track as well. That's exactly the interesting thing.
But still, yeah, it proves that qualifying is especially crucial in this championship, because the difference being that small, it's extremely hard to overtake.
Sellers goes quickest. A 1 minute 53.765. Lost a bit of time compared to Jimenez in the final sector, 10th or so. But it still puts him up to the top of the times. Here is Cacabueno. Then who has decided to leave the pits with 22 minutes to go. And this is going to be his first flying lap. You see him going really wide to set up for it.
Yeah, tried to give himself kind of a slingshot out of the last corner, crossing the control line there. Bit too aggressive, I would say.
He's backed off, I think.
Yeah, on the curb there, so...
He took his hands off the wheel as if to say, what have you done there?
Another warm-up lap, basically. Yeah, it's something you just don't really, you're not really sure whether the tires are ready once you start pushing, because you don't want to push too early, not to bring the tires over temperature, let's say, in the last part of the lap.
Here comes Bueno up the hill. And into turn 9. Evans has improved and gone only 2,000ths of a second away from Brian Sellers. 2,000ths of a second away from Brian Sellers. Jimenez a 10th back, Rodzinski a 10th back. There's a bit of a gap back to Catherine Leg. Here comes Cacabueno through the middle sector split. See any closer, he's 4 tenths away. So this is going to be a reasonable outlap.
Good first lap.
Yeah, first lap.
Yeah. Cacabueno's multiple stock car champion, very, very experienced driver, and struggled a bit in the first few rounds of the championship, but then really managed to almost stamp his authority on it, I would say. Hong Kong, where he's very dominant, but then had this small mistake in the race that cost him victory. And of course then winning last race in Sanya with a pretty dominant performance. Hit the curb there very hard, concrete. Generally, these cars not being able to run the curbstones as aggressively as you would normally expect from these type of cars. especially because the front suspension is one of the areas that have been changed quite significantly compared to the I-Pace road car.
Let's look at the replay of Bueno making his way through.
See him here on the left-hand side. Very aggressive on that concrete part of the curb.
Simon Evans, second quickest at the moment.
Going for a cool down lap now, I expect. Trying to get a little bit of heat out of the tires. And then probably going for another push before to box. And then probably a minor change.
So, Caca Bueno's pushing again on this next lap. 10th away in Sector 1, here he is. Arriving back on the Via Cristoforo Colombo. Hopping over the curbs. Through the middle sector. And where's he going to be compared to... He's not done a good middle sector, actually. Almost 3/10 away from Sellers. Not a personal best in Sector 2. Still closer than he was on that previous lap overall, because he didn't make that mistake in Sector 1. He hasn't quite managed to put it all together yet. Everybody else is circulating, but not really pushing at the moment. They're all sort of on their cooldowns. Radzinski's just done a quick first sector. Brian Sellers was 3/10 away from his personal best. Bueno again thwacking the curb to the final corner. Out across the line, and Bueno remains 5th. Here's some more slow-mo Bueno.
Aggressive there again in turn 11-12 chicane. This track here in Rome, I think actually is one of the first tracks we see in this championship so far that we will have some tire degradation. So
why is that? Because there's not... The corners don't seem very long.
Yeah, because of the layout of the circuit being a lot of the 90-degree corners, for example, like this one here in turn 15, puts a lot of stress on the front tire, trying to be able to roll. You want to, this kind of corner, you want to try to carry speed, but then of course you also still need the rotation. So you're asking a lot from the front tires. You can quite often see these cars, see big steering angles. That's where you really are, I wouldn't say be tempted, but it's quite easy to then overturn on the steering wheel, and thus that will create excessive wear. Yeah.
Okay.
It will be fast in a qualifying lap like this.
Yeah.
But during a race, you will definitely struggle.
Radzinski looking very lively. He's got a car up in front of him, which is Celia Martin. Here he comes up the hill. Simon Evans in that TWR Techeetah liveried car, 4/10 away in Sector 1. I think Evans, Jimenez, Lin and Salvadori are in the pits at the moment. Caca Bueno still lapping out there. And a half minutes to go. Salvadori a couple of tenths away from the likes of Yachi Lin and Celia Martin. About 4/10 adrift of 10th place. Catherine Legg hasn't managed to find any improvement, although as I say that, she's done the fastest middle sector of anyone and is only a couple of tenths away, so this might move her up into the top 4. Radzinski here with this traffic not helping him, and Legg does go up into 4th place then. Only 2/10 adrift now. The top 6 covered by 4/10 of a second.
Expect Radzinski actually to be backing off. I would expect him to back off, to try to give himself a bit of a gap, because this lap is not going to be an improvement anyway, but he's still sticking behind.
.15.5 minutes to go. Bin Cannon goes quicker than Bueno. Wow, good lap from Ahmed Bin Cannon. Only 3/10 away from Sellers. on a very long circuit. There is Ahmed bin Kanin, who isn't even the Pro-Am leader. He's second in Pro-Am, hasn't had a win this season in class, but that's a magnificent lap from bin Kanin.
Also his car a little bit loose on the entry there for turn 5. It's a difficult braking zone into turn 5 because you still find yourself turning basically to the right while you're hitting the brake, and that creates the instability and causes the rear to be tail happy, as we say. These cars are, contrary to Formula E, these cars are equipped with a race ABS system. You can change the settings as well, the level of aggressiveness of the ABS system, but you generally see the drivers to be choosing for the lowest assistance possible to have full control over the pedal.
On board with Ahmed bin Kanin. I guess the biggest braking zone is the one he's coming down to now at turn 13. That's where the ABS will be either working or not working as hard as the drivers want it to.
Yeah, and it's also one of the corners where it's very effective, because basically braking straight is where you want it to help you.
Right.
If you have a corner where you really want to trail brake into the corner.
So like maybe turn 5?
Yeah, it's not always the most ideal. So you want to trust more on your own feeling rather than just being extremely aggressive onto the pedal.
Here comes Sergio Jimenez on his outlap now. So this will be him starting a flying lap in the number 10 Brazilian car.
Hear the tire squealing. Of course, these full electric cars. In qualifying, drivers don't have to use the so-called regen on these cars. In the race, everyone must run with the regen, but there's no such thing as energy saving like we know it in Formula E. They can go flat out basically for the entire race.
Yeah, Jimenez was going flat out through turn 5. I thought he was going to the wall, but kept it together. Bandar Al-Asai is under investigation for crossing pit lane exit line, which we saw Luca Salvadori do yesterday. Jimenez a 1/10 of a second away in Sector 1 from Brian Sellers, despite it being a personal best. This is a reasonable lap so far for Sergio Jimenez. Brian Sellers still in the pit, so they're all just waiting to go out and do one final run, really. Jimenez through the middle sector now. He's up. 300ths up on Brian Sellers at the moment.
Oh, lost a bit there in the hairpin, I would say. It's a very natural reaction as a driver. If you see you brake a little bit too late, probably you would not be able to make the corner. You tend to turn in a little bit early. It's exactly what you saw Sergio doing there. That's why he went slightly wide on the exit. Missed the corner. Just a little bit on.
Right up to the wall as well there, Sergio Jimenez. Here he comes now through the bus stop and then down towards the final 2 corners.
That looks very good though.
Jimenez across the line, quickest, a 1:53.537. Really good final sector by 2/10 quicker than Sellers, despite the hairpin.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday in practice as well. All the lap time is in the last sector in this circuit. Relatively, the slower the corner is, the more lap time you can gain, purely because the speed difference, percentage-wise, is much bigger. So.
Bandar Al-Asai in the 12 car, 8th at the moment. Not quite sure what's going on with Kaka Bueno. He's quite a way adrift. He obviously went out of the pits later compared to everyone else, but hasn't really found the pace. Bin Kanin's only 2/10 away in Sector 1. Jimenez is doing another quick lap. He's pretty much matched his own personal best time in the first sector. Salvadori now up into 11th place, the ahead of Lin. And here comes Alasai. 1.2 seconds away after the first 2 sectors. Bincannon now half a second adrift, but still 7/10 up. Oh, sorry, 1 second up on his teammate Bandar Alasai. So very impressive from Ahmed Bincannon. Here comes Alasai. Can he improve? Doesn't look like he's really improving. 8th at the moment, and no improvement. A couple of tenths adrift of what he managed previously. As you see the fans starting to arrive, it's not even 9 o'clock in the morning here in Rome. So I'm not surprised that the grandstands are a little quiet at the moment. Here is Luca Salvadori. Let's have a look at how he's getting on. I thought the first time we saw him he was going in the wall. In that VIP car.
Very aggressive driving style from him. And it's maybe actually the contrary of what you would like to have in this iPace eTROPHY championship. You've seen the drivers, especially when you see the onboards, drivers being very calm on the steering wheel. It's like, as Catherine Legg told me once, less is more almost in this car. Being smooth, being very precise, the way you brake, hitting your apexes is where you find the performance in the lap time. As soon as you start the car, make the car slide, it's where you start to lose lap time as well. And it will make it worse and worse because that will then overheat the tires, give you less grip, and lose even more performance.
Do you give advice to the VIP drivers? Or not really?
Last race in Sanya, the VIP driver was David Cheng,
who's been
my teammate in the FIA World Endurance Championship. So yeah, a little bit there. No, all these cars, they work quite closely together actually. The data is being shared between all the drivers. Every driver has their own engineer to work with. So from that perspective, it's just like any other racing team, of course, including the in-team rivalry between, for example, Brian Sellers and Catherine Legg, who've known each other for a long time as well, raced against each other in other championships. And as we often say, your teammate is always your biggest rival. So I can imagine that within that championship there's something going on.
Radzinski's been in the wall. Well, it might not be the end of his session. The team are working fairly urgently with a bit of gaffer tape.
I already thought seeing something there, exit of turn 2 on the wall, being some parts on the track.
Okay.
I wasn't sure whether it was just some of the sticker that had come off the wall or someone actually...
Yeah, front right would make sense, wouldn't it, for turn 2? 7.5 minutes to go. Sergio Jimenez on provisional pole position. Sellers is only... Well, he's 3 tenths away now after the middle sector, so the lap time has gone for this one for Sellers. Good first sector from Simon Evans, pretty much matching Jimenez. Here comes Sellers.
Almost touching the wall there. It's a tricky turn 15 because on the entry of the corner you have this overshot the chicane there, have a new tarmac, which is quite grippy. Then right as you exit the corner, and actually also the track starts to drop away slightly there, when you're asking the grip from the tire, you basically hitting the old tarmac again. So the combination of those two, you have to judge it really well.
Here's Catherine Legg. Good first sector. Attacking the curbs, coming through the chicane, got on the dusty stuff there. Through the middle sector split, and she's now a quarter of a second away. But was well offline coming out of that chicane. I haven't seen any dirt on the track really, but Catherine managed to find it.
Yeah, that's a disadvantage because obviously slow exit from that chicane turn 12. It's quite a bit of a straight towards turn 13, so you can't really hit the power, you'll lose the entire straight there, resulting in the 2 tenths loss that we saw. She's backing off now, try to give herself a clear... Oh, she's actually boxing.
Okay, with less than 6 minutes to go, that's it's going to be quite tight if you want to get a good, because these cars seem to be taking a couple of laps to fully warm up everything.
Yeah,
the
well,
tyres and everything.
she takes a very short stop just to make a tire pressure adjustment, for example. She might feel like, oh, I have a little bit too much understeer in the car. Just drop the front tire pressures by a little bit and then immediately go for it again. You'll still have the temperature in the tire and you can immediately push on your first lap.
Here's Yachi Shang, 8th at the moment. Still, what's Kaka Bueno up to? I don't think he's running at the moment. With 5 minutes to go, everybody saving themselves for one last push.
Drivers must start to prepare themselves now to actually go out of pit lane then, because you have about a 2-minute outlap. Then of course you have to cross the line before the clock sets 0.
Indeed. 4.5 minutes left on the clock. Chang currently in 8th place. Bincannon is 7/10 clear of everyone else. Chang out qualifying Alasai at the moment, which is a strong effort. But still, everyone's going to do one more run, I would have thought. Brian Sellers through sector 1, a 10th down.
Big drift there. Was out on the braking for turn 5.
And Kaka Bueno has suffered a puncture. So Kaka Bueno has a puncture. That's why we're not seeing him out on circuit at the moment. And I don't know whether he's out on track or whether he's managed to get back to the pits or not. But that seems to be the trouble for Kaka Bueno.
I also wonder whether that's a result from the very aggressive curve riding that we saw in many of the slow motions he was doing.
So Kaka Bueno, he's back in the paddock area by the sounds of it. So a puncture has forced Bueno out of this session. So he'll start down in 7th place at best. He's got a good 0.6 of a second gap to any of the Pro-Ams. So, oh, that's going to be a close one for Sellers through the middle sector. He's a good 0.7 away, so this isn't a good lap for Sellers. But yeah, Kaka Bueno then down in 7th position. And that's the highest he will start for the race tomorrow for the man in 5th place in the championship. And the race winner last time out and the race leader for the last 2 races before he made the mistake in Hong Kong.
Almost a little bit like we predicted. Looks like drivers are not able to really improve their lap times anymore now.
And there is Kaka Bueno. So where it was reported that it's a puncture for Bueno, so maybe it's the front left, because it was the front left that that went for Catherine Legg, wasn't it? Here's a look at Sellers. Really pushing.
You can see there is actually entering the corner a little bit too fast, then understeers. And then on the exit of the corner, when then the front tires start to grip, it swings the rear around.
So less than 2 minutes to go now. So people are going to be starting their final lap of the session. Here's Luca Salvadori, the VIP driver. He is just about to start his final lap as he comes out across the line. He's just come through the first sector, 0.8 of a second down. Here's Simon Evans, whose first sector is a couple of tenths away from Jimenez. Jimenez is on an outlap, so Jimenez is going for one more flyer.
Sometimes you're very calm steering wheel, trying to just roll that speed in these many 90-degree corners that we see in the first and second sector of this track. Knowing that he has to save tires, save the tire temp, keep the tire temperature under control. When then the third sector comes, where all the lap times to be found, to be able to push there. Half a second though, it's too far away to do anything, I would say.
Yeah,
like we've seen, almost looks like this track, contrary to the previous circuits, you're not able to to keep pushing until the last lap of the session and improve your lap time. So we wonder whether it's down to more tire weather we see here relative to other places.
25 seconds left on the clock. Here comes Simon Evans. A reasonable first sector for Jimenez. No one's really improving that out there anywhere, as you say. Here comes Evans out across the line. He can do one more lap. Ended up 6/10 away. He can do one more run, as I say. And there is the front left of Bueno then. So very similar to the Catherine Legg incident. It must be the curbs, I can only think, because it's the...
Yeah, we saw him quite aggressively hitting the curb into 19.
Yeah.
Like the exit of the chicane there, the bus stop. So I wonder that's quite often a combination, because you're turning to the right, which then puts already a lot of load on the sidewall. If you then also hit the curb, it will obviously cause damage very easily.
Have we had many curb tracks? No, I think this is the most amount of curbs we've had on any of the tracks so far, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially the ones that the I-Pacers have been to. Jimenez with a good middle sector, comes across the line, doesn't improve. And Simon Evans has done a good sector 1. Evans is less than 1/10 of a second away from Sergio Jimenez in the first sector. Looks as though it's going to be Jimenez versus Evans for pole. There's Radzinski going through. His first sector is 3/10 away. But behind him is Simon Evans. There, through the middle sector, Evans... he's dropped away. And Sellers is going to be second place then. And Evans goes super deep into the hairpin. So no one improving in the last 10 or 15 minutes of that session, really.
Simon also knows that, looks at his steering wheel, can see the lap time, flashing the headlights.
Oh, because it's all very busy up in front. Yachi Zhang and Stefan Radzinski, and that's his lap done.
That's it.
And I think he's just giving Yachi Zhang making a point, I think, there, isn't he? So Sergio Jimenez takes pole position for the 5th round of the Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY in Rome. Good effort from Jimenez. Hasn't had a pole position so far this season. So Evans took the first pole, Catherine Legg on pole in Mexico City, then Caca Bueno in Hong Kong and Sanya. So Jimenez's first pole of the year, and he also hasn't had a win, Sergio Jimenez. Here's a look at the results then after qualifying. Jimenez on pole, 1 minute 53.537. Pro-Am pole position going to Ahmed bin Kanin. Disaster for Caca Bueno. He's in 7th. Chi Lin completing the 12 qualifiers. So let's go back down to Amanda Stretton and Vernon Saunders. Vernon Kay.
Well, in that case, I'm going on the other side. And
They got an interesting qualifying session, Amanda, to say the least.
Yes, it was huge disappointment for Caca there. You know, he was our last race winner. I think we all had high hopes for him coming in here. But, I mean, how wonderful is it for Sergio? His first pole, and he's also yet to win.
He's thrown the cat amongst the pigeons as far as the championship goes. Simon Evans in 3rd.
That's right, yeah.
Brian Sellers in 2nd as well, which is going to be an interesting fight for the top spot between those 3.
Definitely. And, of course, let's not forget in Pro-Am. I mean, Ahmed absolutely putting a storming performance in there.
He seems to do it every race. Really, really, really makes a huge impact on the race. Let's hope he can make an impact in the actual race a little bit later on. But let's take a look at qualifying highlights, shall we? Jack, over to you, my friend.
Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY qualifying. And there is Lucas Salvadori, the World Superbike racer, making his way out onto the track. Yachi Zhang out there. Catherine Legg had a lot of running to make up for after she lost out with a puncture yesterday. Caca Bueno attacking the curbs. That was the right front that he attacked, but he also chucked it into the left-hander as well. And that would come back to bite him as he ended up with a puncture. Lucas Salvadori did a good job, finished in 10th place. Ahmed bin Kanin was very impressive and took the Pro-Am pole position, but it was Sergio Jimenez who takes pole position for the Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY Series. The race coming up in a few hours' time. We will see you then. Jimenez on pole.